Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari Sodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Mr. Pad Paramahansa, Pravijakacharya, Asatosat Shishimad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Gaura Vaishnava Ki Jai, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopinasa Amakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Ki Jai, Shri Maya Purnavidam Ki Jai, Gangamaya Ki Jai, Jamunamaya Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Somveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Chansana Bhakti Distribution Ki Jai, Holinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Kalpemanandi, all glories some devotees, all glories some devotees, all glories some devotees, all glories, Shishi Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, The Characteristics of King Puranjana. Text number 21. Pancha Sahana Guptang Pratiharena Sarvataha Anvasesa Manang Risabam Apraudhang Kamarupinim Panchasir Sahina Guptang Pratiharena Sarvataha Anvasesa Manang Risabam Apraudhang Kamarupinim Panchasir Sahina Guptang Pratiharena Sarvataha Anvesa Manam Rishabam Apraudhang Kamarupinim Pratiharena Sarvataha Vesamanam Sabam Pratiharena Sarvataha Vesamanam Sabam Panchasya Sahina Guptam Pratiharena Sarvataha Anvesamanam Rishabam Panchasya Sahina Guptam Pratiharena Sarvataha Pancha, 5. Shirsa, heads. Hina, by a snake. Gutam, protected. Pratiharena, by a bodyguard. Sarvataha, all around. Anvisamanam, one who is searching after. Rishabham, a husband. Apradham, not very old. Kamarupim, very attractive to fulfill lusty desires. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The woman was protected on all sides by a 5-hooded snake. She was very beautiful and young, and she appeared very anxious to find a suitable husband. Purport. The vital force of a living entity includes the 5 kinds of air working within the body, which are known as prana, apana, vyana, samana, and udhana. The vital force is compared to a serpent because a serpent can live simply by drinking air. The vital force carried by the air is described as the pratihara, or the bodyguard. Without the vital force, one cannot live for a moment. Indeed, all the senses are working under the protection of the vital force. The woman, who represents intelligence, was searching after a husband. This indicates that intelligence cannot act without consciousness. A beautiful woman is useless unless protected by the proper husband. Intelligence must always be very fresh. Therefore the word apradham, very young, is used here. Material enjoyment means utilizing the intelligence for the sake of rupa, rasa, gundha, shabdha, and sparsha, or form, taste, smell, sound, and touch. Om Yanatamandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshumilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukram Krutavachalam Pangun Langkayate Grim Yat Kripa Taraham Bande Shigarum Dinataranam Vanchakalpa Tibhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. In many temples around the world, before a major festival, especially like Gaurapanim, there's discussion of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, usually 2 weeks ahead or a week ahead, especially in LA, 2 weeks before Gaurapanim. So I was thinking it'd be nice. We have Janmashtami around the corner. So I was thinking it'd be nice to discuss the pastimes of Krishna leading up to Janmashtami. So here it's mentioned a beautiful woman representing the intelligence. So who is the most beautiful woman? Radharani, most beautiful woman. Actually, she has 26 qualities, and one of them is her beauty. Actually, she has unlimited good qualities, but 26 stick out. And Krishna, he has how many? 64. And Prabhupada was just listening to the lecture. Prabhupada said, Krishna also, he has unlimited good qualities, but 64, they stick out. And amongst those, actually, Krishna, he's so attractive that even though Radharani is so qualified, she's attracted to Krishna. And Krishna, he's so great, so qualified, that he's attracted to Radharani. And I was listening to Radhanath Swami TV. He said, when we chant Hare Krishna, we say Hare, Krishna is so pleased that we're chanting the names of Radharani. And when Radharani hears us say Krishna, she's so pleased with us. So we're pleasing Radha and Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So there's 4 of the 64 qualities that are only found in Krishna. Up to 60, Lord Vishnu also has them. So those 4 are just for Krishna. One is that he plays the flute. It's like everyone in the world, they like music, right? Everybody likes music. So that's there in the spiritual world also. That's why we like music. It's there in the spiritual world. Krishna is the best musician. We can't imagine how attractive the sound of Krishna's flute is. Something to look forward to. It's described that when Krishna would play the flute, the inanimate things would move, and the moving things would stop. Just like the Yamuna, it's flowing, but it would stop. The Yamuna would stop flowing upon hearing the flute of Krishna. Yeah, Yamuna is not just a river. Yamuna Devi, there's a personified Yamuna. And the rocks would melt upon hearing the sound of Krishna's flute. Very, very attractive, the flute of Krishna. And then the pastimes. Krishna has wonderful pastimes with his loving devotees. Amazing pastimes. When Krishna was playing with his cowherd friends, young Krishna, he was told, or some of the boys, they told Mother Yasoda, Krishna, he's been eating dirt, Mother Yasoda. And she said, how is this? I have so many nice sweetmeats in the house, and he's eating dirt? How is this? So she went to Krishna. Krishna, I heard you're eating dirt. I'm not eating dirt. My friends, they're just having, we had some disagreement. They're upset. So they're lying. I didn't eat. I didn't eat dirt. But even Balaram said, yeah, Balaram also, there's a little friction there. He's lying also. You could look in my mouth. You could see I don't have any dirt. Okay, open your mouth. Opened his mouth. And within the mouth, when you look in a little child's mouth, you expect to see a tongue, some teeth, But she saw the whole universe, planets and stars and rivers. And she saw herself also in the mouth of Krishna. And she's thinking, what is this? Am I dreaming? No, I'm not dreaming. I'm awake. Is this some mystic ability of my son, or is this the demigods? What is this? And she was just bamboozled, like what is this? So then Krishna closed his mouth, and she just forgot it like a dream. And then she put Krishna on her lap, and as described in the Krishna book, she started kissing, or next her devotion, started kissing Krishna. So this is the activities of Krishna. The whole universe can be found in the mouth of Krishna. So therefore, Krishna was guilty. He ate dirt. There was planets in his mouth. That means there's dirt. He was guilty. And one time, Krishna, he was playing around the Yamuna with the other cowherd boys, and then he noticed that some of the cowherd boys, they had fallen down, they had fainted. What is this? They had drank some of the water of the Yamuna, and actually they were lifeless. And Krishna came, and he just, by his glance, he just brought them back to life. And then he understood that this Kaliya serpent was there in the Yamuna and was causing great disturbance. The cows also had left their bodies. They were drinking this. So Krishna thought, okay, we got to do something about this. So he jumped in to the Yamuna. And it's described when he jumped in, the water splash went 100 yards away. That's a football field. That's a pretty powerful jump. Yeah. We went swimming yesterday at the, what do they call that? The cliffs? Huh? Sunset Cliffs. And when we jumped in, splashed maybe a foot. Krishna's 100 yards. Yeah. And he's just swimming around. It's described as swimming around, having a good time in the Jamuna. Of course, he doesn't get affected by the poison. But then Kaliya understood, someone's trying to take my territory. Got to do something about this. So it's described that he had about 100 hoods. And each coil had 2 heads. So here it says there's 5 heads. 5-headed serpent here. So this Kaliya, he had about 50 coils and 2 heads. And believe it or not, some of you may not know, but here in America there's people that have 2 heads. Yeah. There's this, I don't know there's a name for them. Huh? Conjoined heads. And they went to school, and they graduated, and they became teachers. Yeah, in elementary school. Nice ladies, they just happened to have 2 heads. And it's I mean, of course it's very uncommon, but it's around the world. Yeah. So this Kaliya, he had all these heads, and he when he saw Krishna, it's described that he was impressed. Wow, he's very beautiful. Krishna's very attractive. He was impressed by his beauty. But anyway, he thought, hey, he's trying to take my territory. So he caught Krishna in his coils. Anybody know how long he was caught in the coils? 2 hours. Yes, 2 hours he was caught in the coil. So now at this time it was just the cowherd boys there with the cow. But in Vrindavan they started experiencing some bad omens. The men were feeling some shaking in their left side. That's a bad omen. There's other bad omens. And they thought, oh no, this is not good. Something happened. And Balaram didn't go with Krishna. And Balaram, he protects Krishna. Because Balaram, he's the older brother of Krishna. So they were in big anxiety. So they went to the Jamuna, and immediately saw Krishna. He's in the coils of this Kaliya serpent. And they had so much love for Krishna. And they're thinking he's just a little boy, and they're just devastated. How is this possible? So they started to enter into the Jamuna. And Balaram stopped them. Balaram was just smiling, because he knew Krishna. He knew no one's going to harm Krishna. So then Krishna, he saw that the residents of Vrindavan, they're practically ready to leave their body. So it's so much anxiety over this. So then he decided to become free. So how did he become free? He expanded his body. He expanded his body so much that Kaliya had to let him go. And then he started dancing. He started dancing on the hoods of Kaliya. And Krishna, he is known as Vrindavana Notabara. He's the best dancer. So he was dancing on the hoods of Kaliya, having a good time. So when he's dancing on the hoods of Kaliya, poison started coming out. Poison. Prabhupada said, when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna is dancing on our tongue, and the poison is coming out. Now some of us have a lot of poison, so we have to do a lot of chanting. And eventually, there'll be no more poison, and we'll be clean. Clean of all the poison. We'll just be pure servants of Krishna. But you've got to keep that chanting. Keep here, as Lord Kapila Dev said, you have to hear and chant for a long time to become clean. And it's possible, because Krishna and Radharani, they're very clean. They're very pure. So the more we're in contact with Krishna and Srimati Radharani, we get purified. And eventually we'll become clean. No desire. but to serve Krishna. Yeah. So Krishna, he's dancing on the hoods of Kaliya, and then he starts vomiting fire. Fire's coming out, and then he's just vomiting all kinds. He's getting purified, and he was very fortunate because he had these wives called Nagapatnis, and they were devotees of Krishna, and they were praying. You could read in the Krishna book, and there's Srimad Bhagavatam, beautiful prayers, amazing prayers that they made to Krishna, begging, please, this is our husband, please. You're the greatest. You're the Supreme Personality of God. Wonderful prayers. It's amazing that they had such a demoniac husband, but they were such great devotees of Krishna. So, by the mercy of the Nagapatnis, and also Kaliya became humbled. He was just being pounced upon, and there's nothing he can do. He tried. Actually, it's described in the Nectar Devotion that he bit Krishna once on his leg. And when Garuda saw that, he just thought, oh, this guy, I just want to kill this person. But then it's described that he said, but if I kill him, then Krishna won't be pleased, because Krishna's doing his pastimes here. But he wanted to just pounce on him. He wanted to kill him. And Garuda was in the area there, evidently, as also. So then, Kaliya just became completely humbled and prayed for mercy. And Krishna is very kind. And it's mentioned in the Nectar Devotion, Krishna apologized to Kaliya. Please don't take this to heart. I have to protect my cows. I have to protect my friends. Don't feel bad towards me. He kind of apologized. It's mentioned in the Nectar Devotion. So then Krishna said, all right, we'll let you go, but don't come here anymore, and just go. And it's described that there's these islands. There's these islands. What are they called? Javita? Where he went? Fiji. And I've been to Fiji many times, and there's certain places where people don't go in Fiji, because they're saying that there's the serpent there. Anybody goes there, they don't come back. Yeah, everybody knows. Yeah, I was like amazed. Yeah, so evidently he's maybe still hanging around there. So another interesting pastime. Yeah, there's a Krishna Kaliya temple there. Yeah, because Prabhupada said that as well. Yeah, Prabhupada said that. That's why the Krishna Kaliya temple. Now, what's interesting is that Balaram is the older brother of Krishna, but Krishna, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So how is it Balaram's superior? Well, in the previous incarnation, Ramachandra, Lord Ramachandra was the older brother, and Lakshman was the younger brother. Now Lakshman, he had such intense love for Ram and Sita. And he actually is described, he didn't sleep. He would stay on guard, protecting them. He didn't sleep the whole time, like 13 years, was it? Of course, he's Vishnu Tattva. He could stay. He doesn't need sleep like we do. So there was so much love, we can't imagine. So after Lord Ram killed Ravana, and they retrieved Sita, to test her chastity, Ram told Lakshman, put her in fire. Now, Lakshman had so much love for Sita. It's described that when they were asked what she looked at, when they went to searching for her, some of those who were searching for her, the monkeys and others, what does she look like? Asked Lakshman, what does she look like? I don't know. I've only seen her feet. For how many years were they together? Like 12 years up to that point or something like that? never saw her face, only saw her feet. I mean, that's amazing. Didn't know what she looked like. Just so much respect, so much awe, so much love for Sita. So for him to put Sita in the fire to test the chastity was just like, it was just too much. And therefore Lakshman said to Ram, in our next incarnation, I'm going to be the big brother. So I don't have to do things like this for you again. Yeah. So that's why Balaram is the big brother. Krishna's the younger brother. Because Krishna sometimes asks things that are almost impossible to do. But he did that. He took Sita, put her in the fire. He's so devoted to Ram. And what a difficult thing to be in. So devoted to Ram, so devoted to Sita, and he's asked to do such a thing. But his love for Ram was higher, so he did that. And he knew Sita was chaste. So she came out of the fire untouched by Agni himself. So that's another interesting pastime of Krishna. And it's stated, Satam prasangang mama virya sangvado bhavanti vitkarna ashayanakata tad oshanad asma vavagar vartmani shradharvatir bhaktir anukramishati. That devotees of the Lord, when they're hearing about Krishna in the association of other devotees, it's very pleasing to the ear and to the heart. And simply by this hearing about Krishna in the association of other devotees, one quickly becomes liberated. Just by hearing the glories of Krishna, we become liberated. So we're so fortunate that we got to hear the glories of Krishna from Srila Prabhupada. There's so many other people that are translating and even speaking on the 10th canto, but they go right to the Rasa Leela. Don't even discuss all these wonderful pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. Just straight to the Rasa Leela. This is what everybody wants to hear, right? But no, Prabhupada said these are just as important, these pastimes of Krishna when he was a child with the cowherd boys. It's just as important. What's kind of interesting is that in Gujarat, of course not all devotees in Gujarat, but in Gujarat mostly they worship Gopal Krishna as a child. And the reason they only worship Gopal, they don't worship Krishna when he's older because they thought he became contaminated. Prabhupada mentions this, yeah. Because he was dancing with the women of who were already married and unmarried girls and taking their clothes, and they thought he got contaminated. But no, Krishna never becomes contaminated. Why did Krishna dance with the ladies there? Because they wanted to be with Krishna. He's just fulfilling their desire. They all wanted to be wives of Krishna. And this is why he stole the clothes of the gopis. Because a girl is only naked in front of the husband. So, and of course, eventually, there's that pastime also where Krishna actually married them in the forest. It wasn't, the parents didn't know about this, but it was an unofficial marriage with the gopis there. So Krishna, he's completely self-satisfied. He doesn't need all this. But to please his devotees, to please the gopis, to please the wives of the brahmanas or the husbands, he would give them mercy. So simply by hearing these wonderful glories, we get liberated. Shraddha, and then Shraddha, we gain great faith. We gain great faith in Krishna. If we can just get faith in Krishna, get faith in the devotees, then our future is very bright. Very bright. So to get that faith, previously we had so much faith in sense gratification. Right? Faith in our mind, faith in sense gratification. But now, fortunately, that's kind of been shook up. Now we're trying to get free of that faith, that we can get any happiness in this world. But there's that fear, just like yesterday, our Bhakti Alex, there was some fear about jumping off the cliffs. They're cliffs, 20 feet. So there's some fear. But he overcame that fear. And he went, and he was very happy that he overcame that fear. And we also have that fear that if I fully surrender to Krishna, will I be happy? The fear is there. Otherwise, would you completely surrender to Krishna? There's that fear. But no, we should have no fear. To have no fear. That if we surrender to Krishna, we'll be completely satisfied. We'll be happy. But that faith can come by hearing from those who are faithful. And Prabhupada is the most faith. There was an interesting pastime where Prabhupada, he was traveling around, and as he's traveling around, the reporters they interview him. And he went to one city, and the reporter asked him, "Are you sure what you're teaching is true? Is right? Is this the absolute truth? Are you sure?" And Prabhupada looked at his disciples. It was a ridiculous question. I'm traveling around the world. I'm convincing thousands of people to give their life to Krishna, and you're asking me, am I sure? It's amazing. He convinced thousands of us Westerners to give up so much sinful activity to serve Krishna. I mean, it's actually astonishing. It's astonishing. And it's still going on. He reasons ill who say that Vaishnavas die while still living in sound. The Vaishnavas die to live, and living spread the holy name around. So we can also get this faith. It's actually there. This strong faith in Krishna, it's there in the heart. We got to uncover, take this faith in materialism. We got to remove that. Shraddha-bhaktir, then we get a taste. We get a taste for Krishna. And once you get a taste for Krishna, for serving Krishna, for thinking of Krishna, then, it's just... And then, bhakti, Shraddha-bhaktir bhakti. So it is described that this goes gradually. You get some faith, you get some, you get some Actually, it's interesting that liberation is the first one. The first one is liberation. Of course, there's different types of liberation. So we get some preliminary liberation. And then we get faith, and we get a taste, and eventually we get love for Krishna, which is the natural sequence. So another thing I wanted to mention is that that one can get this this taste by surrendering to Krishna. And then it's described in one purport. Prabhupada says that by serving Krishna, one enters into the mysterious region of transcendence. Mysterious region of transcendence. And anybody has distributed books, I mean, of course, anybody can experience, but really on book distribution, I've experienced. You really experience that mysterious region of transcendence. You're having a tough time. It's difficult. No one's taking books, and then you surrender to Krishna, and then all of a sudden people start taking books, and it's like it's mystical. Actually, it's mystical. There's one interesting pastime with Prabhupada. He was visiting one temple, and the Sankirtan leader, he went to Prabhupada and said, "Prabhupada, some of the Sankirtan devotees, they're thinking that this is too much anxiety, approaching people and trying to convince them to take a book and get money from them. It's just too much anxiety. I hear this from them." And Prabhupada said, "No, this is Krishna anxiety. This is good anxiety." And he gave the example of the gopis. The gopis had so much love for Krishna, and Krishna would go out to to herd the calves in Vrindavan, and there's pebbles, there's thorns on the ground, and just seeing Krishna walking on the bare ground, Prabhupada said they would faint. They would faint because they thought that their breasts were too hard for his feet. So you can imagine how they're thinking he was walking around on the ground, the rough ground, just like it was just too much. So that was anxiety. And Mother Yasoda, she would be in anxiety. Krishna's out in Vrindavan, and she's in anxiety. Maybe Krishna's troubled, or something. He wants something to eat, and she's in anxiety. There's so much love is there. So this is Krishna anxiety. So they say that the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, is Vaikuntha, no anxiety. And it's true, there's no material anxiety, but there's spiritual anxiety, which is good. So to go out on book distribution and feel some anxiety, and a devotee feels anxiety. People are suffering. Like Prahlad Maharaj, he says, Naivod Vijaya Pradratya Yavaitranyas Tvadvirya Gayana Mahamrta Magnya Chitta So Chaitato Vimukacheta Indriyartha Maya Sukhaya Bunabhuto Vato Vimudhan. He says, I have no anxiety, no problem. Why? Because wherever I go, I'm just hearing and chanting your glories. But I am concerned out of love for the conditioned souls who are suffering in this samsara, this maya, this illusory happiness, maya sukhaya, this illusory happiness, the burning in the blazing fire of material existence. I am concerned out of love for them. So that's it. That's good anxiety. We should want that anxiety. So maybe I'll stop there. Any question, comment, or other pastimes? Anybody would like to Javidas? Probably.
These aren't philosophical questions, they're just kind of details. But I'm wondering, you mentioned how Krishna with Kaliya, he was in his coils for 2 hours, right? I'm wondering, because hours is a modern measurement, is like 3 muhurtas? Like, what does it say? Like, how do we... Is that just Prabhupada puts 2 hours in the Krishna book, but do we know, is there that in the Sanskrit somewhere?
Well, in Krishna books it specifically says 2 hours.
Yeah.
So...
I'm just wondering, what is the standard measurement? Like, if you're reading, muhurta is always muhurta. Okay, so generally when they're talking about it, they use muhurtas, and what other measurements do they use? I'm just curious. If they're talking about time. Yeah. Okay.
Muhurta, there's muhurta, I know that. Oh.
It's also colloquially used for a moment.
Uh-huh. Okay.
8 muhurtas in a day.
So it's 8 praharas in a
Praharas. 8 praharas.
Ashtapahara, okay.
In a day.
Okay. I see. And the other thing was, I never heard the pastime about Ram and Lakshman saying next time. Do you remember where that comes from? Is that Ramayana? Do you know?
The Ramayana.
That's Ramayana?
Yeah, it's in the Ramayana, yeah.
Okay. I think that's all.
Anything else? You want to hear one more pastime? Nice pastime. Maybe 2. Krishna, sometimes Krishna, he would disguise himself. And you can imagine, Krishna is so good at everything, you can imagine him. He's really good at disguising. So he disguised himself as a boatman. And he had a boat. And the gopis, they would cross the river sometimes, right, with their yogurt, with their milk products. And so the gopis were there, they wanted to go across, and Krishna happened to be there with his boat. So they got in the boat, and Krishna, by his all-powerful abilities, when he got out in the middle of the Yamuna, all of a sudden there's a huge storm. And the waves are coming, and just the rain is coming, and they're like, "Oh, this is crazy. Well, how could this possibly?" So Krishna said, "Well, listen, you got to throw your buckets of yogurt off. We're going to sink. You got to throw them off." So they took their buckets of yogurt, or what do they call it? I guess bowls, huh? Pots. Yeah, the pots of yogurt, and threw them off. And then Krishna's struggling with the boat, and he, throw your bangles off. They're too heavy. Throw your bangles off. So they're taking their bangles off, and they're throwing this huge storm. And Krishna said, your clothes are all wet. They're too heavy. Throw your clothes off. And they said, we're going to throw you off. And then one of the gopis saw he's got a flute. So she grabbed, Radharani, look. This is Krishna. This is Rascal Krishna. This is Krishna doing all this. And then Krishna. Then the storm went down. I don't know. It's in the Nectar Devotion. Nectar Devotion. Krishna's all attractive pastimes. Anyway, so hopefully the devotees will say more until we get to, just a few more days. Well, we could. What do you think? Oh yeah, you're giving class tomorrow. Krishna pastimes? Yeah. So tomorrow, more Krishna pastimes. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Krishna ki jai.